Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I want to talk about all things study abroad accommodation. Student accommodation versus private accommodation, how to find the right housing for you, my experience of staying in various types and kinds of accommodation over the past 3 years of studying abroad. This video is the third video in my 7-day series to celebrate the launch of my new ebook Girls Study Abroad, a student guide to studying abroad. Girls Study Abroad is the handbook to your study abroad adventure, where I put in all of my experience that I got from studying abroad for the past 3 years. So if you find this video helpful, then you will love my Girls Study Abroad ebook, because in there I've dedicated an entire chapter to study abroad accommodation. So if you watch this in real time, you can even get a very special discount. The link to grab your copy is down below in the description box. So I thought the best way to talk about student accommodation, because I've stayed in various student accommodations, is to just walk you through all the places that I've stayed at and telling you guys how I found it, what was the application process like, what was good about it, the pros, the cons, just me talking about my experience, because I think that authentic, real, honest experience always helps you guys most. Alright, so let's start off with first year, where I stayed in student accommodation. So for my first year in Scotland, I decided to stay in a student accommodation that was provided by RGU, my university. So I stayed at Woolman Hill. So if you guys are going to RGU, or if you want to go there, then Woolman Hill is kind of known as the party hall. It's also the most affordable, which is the reason why I chose it. So Woolman Hill is basically a big complex of flats, and usually the flats have 8 people in them. So I shared my flat with 7 other girls, and the flat is located in the city center of Aberdeen, so it has a really nice location, and I would always go by bus to uni. But I really liked about Woolman Hill that it was in the city center, so I could easily walk to get groceries, to go shopping, to go to restaurants. So I did really like the location of it. And how I got it was right after I got my unconditional offer from university. You are able to apply for student halls, and it's really important that you apply as early as you can, because oftentimes spots in student halls are limited. So right after I got accepted, which was I think at the end of July, and I wanted to move in the beginning of September, I applied and I got a flat. There was a Facebook group for Woolman Hill flats, and there you could meet your flatmates. So that is how I met my flatmates before we even moved in. We created a little Facebook group chat to introduce each other. And what was also cool about living in student halls was the whole experience. It was literally kind of like it is in the movie. So you get like flat parties, especially like in the first few weeks there were flat parties everywhere. I also remember my friend hosted a really cool Halloween party, pop-up stands from our university, so you would get like free food, and it was really cool. Like the whole student experience was great. Obviously it was also quite easy, like the whole process. I just had to choose the flat that I wanted to be in, or the housing that I wanted to be in, and then I got it. So I didn't have to deal with any landlords or anything like that, or looking for a flat. It was also super easy to pay for, so we paid in 8 rates. It would always just go away from my credit card, so I didn't really have to care about that. And I think it was £500 for a rate, or I think even a bit more. So it wasn't the most affordable, but you had all bills, so water, electricity, and heating, and everything was already included. And you also had internet included, so that was good. Room was already furnished. Obviously wasn't really high standard living. Minimum, you had like a bed, you had a bedside table, you had chair, table, wardrobe, a shelf, and a sink, which was good. So you could brush your teeth in your own room, but then obviously you would share your bathroom, your shower, and all of that with the 7 other girls, which was fine as well, because we had 3 toilets, 2 showers, and 1 bathtub. So that was all great. And I also shared my kitchen and obviously my living room with the other girls, which was okay. But the only thing that I think I didn't really like was that it wasn't really clean. The same people would put the rubbish down, or people would leave their dishes, which was quite disgusting. But that's just what you gotta deal with when you live with other people. And obviously the noise level wasn't that great. Like, I am a morning person, I go to bed really early, so when people would do flat parties at my flat and I wanted to sleep, obviously that kind of sucked. Although it was fully furnished, you had to buy your own bedding and you had to buy your own like kitchen supplies and stuff like that. But overall, I highly recommend you guys, if you go into first year or if you just stay in like destination for one semester, I highly recommend student accommodation just because it's the easiest. My second year, I shared a flat with 2 other people, so I rented a private flat, and I was actually really lucky because my friend who I moved in with, he was friends with the landlord, so I actually didn't have to look for the flat. I didn't have to negotiate a price. That flat was actually the cheapest that I ever stayed in. I think it was £250 per month, which is half of my student accommodation the first year, so that was great. Accommodation itself was really nice. I had a nice big room, a kitchen, bathroom and living room, so that was actually really nice. The location of the flat wasn't that great because it wasn't a part of Aberdeen that isn't really the nicest. Walked 25 minutes to the city center and to my bus. Yeah, the location wasn't the best, although it was really great because I only had to walk like 10 minutes and then I was by the ocean, so that was really nice. Although the flat was really nice, in my room there was actually a table, chair and a wardrobe missing, so I was really lucky and I actually got like a wardrobe, table, chair from home. Other than that, you do have to pay bills additionally, but that was like 10 to 20 to 30 pounds sometimes. Also, what wasn't that great was that the walls were quite thin, and that is also when I learned that when you live together with other people, it's really important that you kind of have the same routine. So if you are a morning person like I am, don't move in with a night owl because that will disrupt your routine and just, it's not great if you want to sleep and other people are noisy, or if they want to sleep in and you're the one being noisy because you get up early. And what's also real talk here is that our boiler actually broke down and it took 1 week to fix it, and it was in February, so it was freezing cold and I had to move in with my friend Marissa for that week. So that's obviously the thing with private landlords is I think when you live in student accommodation, stuff is so much quicker to be fixed because you obviously live together with more people, whereas when you deal with a private landlord, it's, you know, you're dealing with a different person. Okay, then in Toronto for my semester abroad, I stayed in a house with my landlord and with one other girl. So how I found this flat, I was really lucky that the international coordinator of my study abroad in Toronto, so the people from Humber College, they were super nice and they all helped us international students get flats. So I from the beginning said I won't go into student accommodation, so I was super lucky and I got a really great place to live, which was also not as expensive as student accommodation. I think student accommodation was around 900 Canadian dollars per month, whereas my accommodation was 750 Canadian dollars per month and everything was included. And the location of the flat was also super nice, 2 minutes away from Lake Ontario, which was beautiful. I had the most amazing view on the skyline. I would walk, I think, like 15 minutes to uni, which was absolutely fine. Toronto was really big and my university was outside, like 1 or 1.5 hours to get into the city center, but that was okay because I had to go to uni more often than I went to the city center, so it made more sense for me to live by the uni. Everything was furnished, the landlord was super friendly. The only thing, again, that was that the walls were really thin, and my flatmate, she actually was a total night owl and she would come home very often around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. So I would wake up and I wouldn't really be able to sleep completely for a few months, which did drain me a bit because I have a super light sleep. So even with earplugs, I do wake up sometimes. And also we didn't really talk a lot. I don't think we had a good relationship. I don't know if my flatmate, if she actually liked me. I mean, I hope she did, but I don't know. We didn't really talk a lot. So if you move in with other people, you also have to be ready that maybe you won't be best friends, but that's okay, I guess. And then this year for my internship actually in Germany, I also stayed with a girl in a shared flat, and that was definitely so far my favorite accommodation. I actually found it super funny. I found it on eBay and I was super lucky that I found it because here in Germany it's super hard to find a flat that you only have for like 3 months or something. Usually it's more long term, and it's also hard to find a flat that's fully furnished. But I did, which was really cool, and I moved in with a girl who was so lovely. She was really nice. She had the same routine as I had. She was super clean and we got along really well. Beautiful. It was a beautiful flat. It was fully furnished. And the only thing was that it was a bit over my budget, but in the end, I think it was like 390 euros per month, but in the end it was so worth it. And that's also something I learned, is I personally don't want to make compromises when it comes to my accommodation, because I work from home. I spend a lot of time at home because I'm just introverted. I love to be by myself at home. So to me, it's really important that my environment is nice. And if I don't feel good at home, it really triggers my homesickness. And I'm also a person, I need my good sleep, so that's really important to me. And also, if I don't like my room, like for example in Toronto, it was really hard for me to film sit-down videos because my room was tiny and I didn't really have good lighting and good background. Lesson here is know your non-negotiable criteria, because you do want to make some compromises. You always have to make compromises, right? So I sometimes have to make a compromise on the money and go a bit over my budget. That's exactly what I did as well now. I'm gonna move in now for my final year. I'm gonna move into a flat by myself. I'm so in love with this flat, you guys don't even know. I found it through a Facebook group. My uni has a Facebook group for private flats and stuff, which is really cool. So look if your uni has like a Facebook group as well. But I found it in there, and it's the perfect flat. It has a perfect location in Aberdeen. It's located in the city center, but in a more quiet part, which is really important for me. It's also top floor, so I won't have like annoying neighbors above me. It's fully furnished. As I said, it's really, really, really important to me that I feel good in my flat, because I know that if I don't, and if I live alone, I will be super homesick and I just won't feel creative. And I have big plans for my YouTube channel, so it's really important that my home is nice. When you want to get a private flat, it's so important that you are careful, because my friends and I, we had an experience where we wanted a flat with an agency. So we paid a deposit without signing a contract, and then we had to go a lot back and forth to get our deposit back. So be really careful and make sure that you check the reviews of agencies that you rent flats from. It's so important. Check the reviews online, it's so important. And also ask people, like before you do anything, ask people that you know at that place and ask them for their recommendations. That's how I found the Facebook group. And really make sure you don't transfer any money before you have signed anything. Make sure don't transfer any money. Don't transfer any money before you've seen the flat, which of course for me it's hard because I'm not like in Aberdeen, but my landlord, she sent me a video which was super nice. So you can always request a Skype viewing or a video to be sent. I think that's really important, not just pictures. Actually, either go there, send a friend, or request a video. That's so important. You might need a guarantor. As landlords, they obviously have to be secure with getting in the payments. So often when they are renting to students, they want a guarantor who guarantees for students paying their rent. Usually it's like your parents. Specifically the agency we were dealing with in Aberdeen, they wanted a guarantor who was British and who was full-time employed in Britain and who owned 40 times our rent, which was a ton because our rent was like £900. We couldn't find anyone because obviously we are all international students and we couldn't get the flat. Of course, private flats, they are more of an effort. However, if you are planning to stay long-term in a place, or if you are already familiar with that place, then I highly recommend private flats just for your own comfort. I feel like in Aberdeen, student halls are so expensive. I don't know if it's in other countries as well. Yeah, private accommodation. I'm actually really looking forward to living by myself, to have my own morning routine, to create so much content for you guys. I'm actually really excited for that. So ultimately, I have a few lessons for you. Again, there are so many more lessons and tips and tricks, best practices in my ebook. And I also did like a pros and cons list in there of student accommodation, private accommodation, really summarizing and going a lot more in detail on the topic. So make sure you check out the ebook if you want to know that information. But a few lessons is to definitely start looking early for your accommodation as soon as you get your unconditional offer from university. Then find your priorities and your non-negotiable criteria. And here you really have to focus on yourself. A quiet location, no UK guarantor because I don't have any, fully furnished and kind of in my budget. And then lastly, listen to your gut. If you have a weird feeling about a flat or about living with someone or about a certain situation, listen to your gut. Be smart and know that if you're, for example, negotiating a price for a flat, know that your landlord needs you as much as you need them, right? So always look for this good exchange of energy and you'll be fine. Just trust your intuition, be smart, ask ask people and you will be okay. So that is it for today's video. If this was valuable to you guys, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also check out the video I did yesterday all about study abroad and money. So here we talked about budgeting, saving money, setting up a bank account, funding, scholarships. I answered all of your guys' questions about studying abroad and money. So make sure you check out that video, and also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the other videos in the 7-day series. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye guys!